I'm Kelly Coleffel, your host. Every other week, we'll bring you insightful interviews with some of the brightest minds across the data community. We're going to cover topics such as AI and ML, Gen AI, enterprise data and analytics, various data workloads and use cases, data culture, and a lot more. Today, I am exceptionally pleased to be joined by Riley Buss. Riley is Senior Manager of IT Engineering at CHS. If you don't know CHS, they are a diversified global agribusiness cooperative. They're owned by farmers and local co-ops across the U.S. Riley, in his current role, manages multiple teams consisting of data engineers, data scientists, and RPA developers. 2021, he led the data platform migration from an on-prem Cloudera platform to a cloud-based platform consisting of best-of-breed tool sets from Fivetran, Snowflake, dbt, Dataiku, and AWS. Since moving to the new platform, his teams have brought new insights and capabilities to the organization's key digital transformation initiatives. Riley, it is great to have you on the show. Welcome in.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Glad to be here today.
Absolutely. Well, I previewed a little bit. CHS, a lot of us may not be as familiar. Really interesting company, huge breadth and depth of products and services, energy, crop nutrients, grain processing services, all types of things, even insurance and financial services. Give us a highlight. Dig in a little bit more on CHS. What does the company do? And then a little bit about your current role as well.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, CHS is what makes it also unique is that it's cooperative. So our owners are also our customers. So it's all centered around providing value back to them, the farmers, the cooperatives that really own us. So when we look at the services we provide, centered around the farmer, we do everything from providing them the kind of the crop inputs that they need to be successful, from seeds to crop nutrients to crop protection, providing services through the crops while they are growing, and then on energy side, we're providing them diesel fuel, gasoline, lubricants. If people are familiar with the Cenex brand, that is our flagship brand for on the energy side. That's probably a little bit more known to folks, but really it's all provide value back to the farmers. So then in the fall, when after the crops have grown and they're ready to harvest them, we do the grain merchandising for them and really take their grain and make it accessible to the global markets and give them that outreach.
I was thinking, you mentioned after harvest. What happens after harvest leading up to? Do the services that CHS focuses on shift a little bit, or how does that work?
Yeah, so being as diversified as we are across all the agronomy crop inputs, grain merchandising on the outputs, and the energy, that kind of surfaces the breadth of it. Really, it's a very large supply chain company. We're basically moving logistics of all their goods and services that they need, and that's all around the calendar year and all around the globe.
Yeah. So you really don't get to take a little breath, a little breather after a particular time of year. It's just constant.
Nope. The sun never sets on CHS, and it's always busy.
Yeah. Okay. In your role, give a little background, kind of what also interested you about CHS, and then what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so what really attracted me about CHS is I actually grew up in agriculture. I grew up on a dairy farm in a small town in Wisconsin. Went to school and I ended up with a criminal justice major and a MIS minor, but really had a passion for IT and then dove into IT. Basically, CHS was my second job out of college. Started off more on the business analyst side, and then had a love for data and then grew up through the development ranks to leading a few different teams and then got to the position where I'm at right now.
Really good. And you think about agriculture. I mean, to me, every industry, if you're not able to use data in innovative ways and new ways every day, you're kind of falling behind. Provide some examples, if you can, on maybe just 2 or 3 of those where CHS is leveraging data and technology to drive innovation for the cooperatives and the farmers that you support.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people might think of, data in agriculture and they might jump to like precision ag. And precision ag is all around maximizing the yield per acre, using all kinds of cool technologies and data to do that. But it really surfaces a much broader use case than that. So when you look at CHS, we're a very asset heavy company. We have grain elevators, we have river terminals, we have gateway ports. We have processed food ingredients, which has basically soybean crushing facilities. We have ethanol refineries. We have refined fuel refineries. So all those assets are littered with IoT devices, PLCs, GMIs that all are kicking data off of it, and all of it can be used. We also have, and what was also one of our challenges, we have 14 different ERP systems that we also need to collectively get one view of the whole of.
Wait a minute. 14? How do you deal with 14 ERPs? That's crazy.
It's creates job security, that's for sure. No, it's
That's right.
very challenging. One of those actually has 36 instances of itself distributed, which is its own unique challenge. Yeah, we've been on an SAP journey since 2015, and it's been a fun journey. We're making progress there. Still got a little ways to go, but in the meantime, we're still getting all the use we can out of some of the legacy ERPs.
Are you gonna make it to a single global instance of SAP, you think, during your tenure at CHS?
I think the visions and the future is there for us. We'll end up on two different instances of SAP just because our ag lineup and our energy lineup are kind of a little bit unique, especially for how SAP services the ag side with their agricultural commodity module. So we'll have an ag and an energy instance.
Cool. Well, I think you mentioned precision agriculture. I think of, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think of efficiency and effectiveness and, how do I manage my resources best? Am I on the right track there? And if so, where are you seeing precision agriculture mainly being used?
Yeah, so definitely it also ties into sustainability too. We want to be very mindful of what kind of chemicals or seeds are we using to make sure that they're the best and kind of fit the need to get the maximum yield without kind of over using any type of ingredient over each other. We're going to be very mindful of that. So making sure we can still get the most yield out of per acre, using, latest and greatest technology like drones to do things like that too. What's fun about drones is you might think of that as, oh, I fly it over a field, I can see like different dead spots or maybe like different types of plant health. But it also goes back into surfaces that need for us. But because we have a lot of different line of businesses. So we also have, many assets. We actually use them for asset inspections as well. So we have a lot of grain elevators. They're made out of concrete, steel. We'll check them for cracks, and we'll use some computer vision to track that. Up in Superior, we actually ran a fun use case where it is an attachment for a drone that basically made it look like a big light bulb. And we're able to fly that inside the grain elevator and actually inspect the inside, which is something that is very dangerous to do if we were doing it the old way of having a person go in there. But now we can also do it much more frequent. So we're able to keep the plant and everything much safer and much quicker without putting humans at risk.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. I'd love to be that drone. Maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't want to be that drone operator. And I got to imagine the data being churned off pretty substantial.
Yeah, there's terabytes of data that makes it fun to figure out just the strategy for, how do you do, ML at the edge? Where are you moving your data? What frequency, what value you're trying to get out of it for moving it? Because every time you move data, one, it takes processing to do it. So you got to be mindful of cost from that perspective. And also every time you move data, it's never going to really increase in quality. So you want to make sure that you have the right process to put in place based off your use case and what you're trying to solve.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the edge processing going on. I mean, a lot of times your constituent base, the farmers and even the cooperatives, may not be sitting in smack dab in the middle of a big city with perfect internet service, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that that's a challenge when you start talking about different types of data capture via sensor at the edge, if you will?
Yeah, that is a challenge. I would say we're in a much better state today, though, with those challenges than we were 8 years ago when I started. When I was started 8 years ago, we still had some sites that are on old T1s that had very slow bandwidth. Some of their ERPs even ran on Citrix, just so that way they didn't have to have a local client of that app installed that was communicating traffic over the web. That has improved, or there's been a good push towards rural broadband, and that's made a lot of what we do easier. But still, we have areas that we need to be very mindful of, low bandwidth, low connectivity. How are we capturing that data? How are we transmitting it, and so on.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the technologies that you use. Would love to dig in a little bit more on your data tech stack and how you deliver data products and data services today, but then also where are you going with that tech stack and the way you deliver data services and products?
Yeah, so when we look at our data landscape, we have, like I said, 14 different ERP systems. One of them has 36 different instances of itself. But we have over 50 line of business applications. And we also have a bunch of SaaS apps and external data that we want to bring in to enrich our data with. So it creates a nice, fun data engineering challenge. If it's a database that we have either on our on-prem data centers or in our public cloud, that's where we're going to leverage Fivetran local data processing to do CDC off that data, to stream it into our platform and provide real-time analytics back to our business. That was one of the game changers that we did when we moved from Cloudera to our new tech stack. On Cloudera, we were leveraging either Spark or Scoop to do those ingestions. They were more time-consuming, more resource-intensive. Being able to do ingestions off of change data capture logs really reduced the amount that we were hitting our source system. So our DBAs were much happier when we moved to CDC, and then also our end customers were happier just because we're providing them more real-time access to data.
Yeah, I spent a pretty considerable time in the Hadoop world as well. And I think that the thing that was toughest was, how do I get predictability and standardization when I am building, Scoop Oozy pipelines or Java Scala Spark pipelines, and again, trying to get this level of, let's build this once, use it many times. And it sounds like you're starting to get there, where you build something, it's going to work, and it's going to be very predictable for those downstream users that you have.
Very predictable. And then we also need to make sure it's accurate information too, right? With, especially back when it's, Scoop and Spark, and you're doing more batch style ingestions, it's easier to manage data quality just because you're able to do kind of point in time, are we matching our source? When you move to CDC and you're streaming that information through into, we land that data directly in Snowflake, but it could land in S3 or wherever. It creates a more unique challenge of, how are you ensuring that you're capturing, hard and soft deletes of the database correctly? And that's one where Fivetran really stood out because it has the compare and repair functionality. So one, we can schedule, on our HVR hub or the Fivetran local data processing hub to have a compare done. We can have it iterate out, hey, here's a statement that you would need to make that data whole again, but also ensures that, when we bring the data into our data lake, data warehouse platform with Snowflake, we know that it's matching the source and we're starting with that good integrity. We do have kind of a process layer that will make sure that we're deduping anything, handling those deletes effectively. Then that's when we jump into data products. Typically, how we build data products is leveraging dbt. We're leveraging their cloud solutions, so dbt cloud, and making sure that we adhere and make sure that we meet their data quality concerns. As we continue to add business logic and application logic to the data products we build, we do try and take advantage of the dbt tests, so leveraging their unit tests and automating those to ensure every time we want to run a dbt test run, we can do that in an automated fashion to help us have a scalable, sustainable future. So really kind of starting with that test-driven first approach to development.
When you're building and delivering these data products, I heard scalable just then. What does become most important to you? Because there's a speed aspect of being able to deliver, but you've got to have the quality, you've got to have the scalability. What do you take into consideration at CHS most?
You need to take a broad consideration. So one of the things that you might think about that, or might not think about, is we're streaming this data in with CDC. We can provide real-time analytics, but our business processes might not be real-time to enable some of those real-time analytics. For example, maybe a back office accounting or finance team does a business process once a week, once a month, once a day, and that won't be articulated in those ERP systems until those business processes happen. So just because we're ingesting data real time, we need to be mindful when we're gathering requirements to the end stakeholder that how the business actually functions on those processes is taken into account in the timeliness and the KPIs that they want to be able to see and ultimately make decisions off of.
I really like that. What you just described flows down into how you maybe define success for a particular data product or service that you're delivering at CHS.
Yeah, so how I determine success for any data product that we deliver is it implemented in the business process, and is it kind of, how is it implemented? Is it something that is improving what they had before? Are they spending reduced time doing their old process, or are they getting more information and able to do it better? But it's ultimately, how is it being embedded in the business process, and not just being, oh, I have this report out here that I can use sometimes. It's no, that report needs to be embedded in that business process to making sure that we're getting the value out of delivering it. Every data product we build is another data product we also have to support. So we want to make sure that it's being leveraged to its full extent and is providing its value, meeting what it was designed to do.
Yeah, and is that an evergreen process to a degree, Riley, where you go along for a couple of quarters or maybe a year and you want to revisit? If so, is this something? Is it built into the process of revisiting these success metrics and ensuring that you've got this continued alignment with the business?
It is, and right now we kind of do it manually ad hocly, but right now we're actually implementing a data catalog. And that data catalog is going to be key to more enabling a sustainable path for that process, because essentially we'll have basically broken down by our value stream, work stream at CHS, which data products are being used by which customers. And we have the data catalog, we'll get better visibility into how are they actually using it. We delivered it. Are they using it? And we'll see kind of the usage reports of, are they actually querying that information? Are they using that Power BI report or that embedded analytics? And that will be conversations that we have with our product owners on the business side. When we meet with them, it'll be reviewing that, saying like, hey, we built this for you, spent a lot of time and money on data engineering to do that. We're not seeing that you're not using it. Is there some additional enhancement that we need to be doing there? Or should we look at decommissioning it because it didn't hit the mark, or maybe the business priorities have changed and that's no longer as valuable as it once was?
Yeah, those shifts can happen, and like you said, even if you're doing it more on an ad hoc basis, unless you're having those conversations, it's easy to go along and spend some cycles and not necessarily hit the mark. So I love the fact that you're coming back and talking. Are there areas that you're primarily focused on right now, data workload wise, that maybe we really have not taken advantage of before?
Right now, I have 5 different capital projects running on my team, so that's a lot that are currently underway in active development. What's been unique is what Snowflake has given us is we have 2 of those, which are actually working with other partners of us and actually doing a direct Snowflake share. So because we have that very lovely problem of 14 different ERP systems, over 50 line of business applications that we try and all centralize in Snowflake, that means we do have singular pipelines that are high quality, and then the data is in Snowflake, still of high quality. We're managing it effectively. So that's a central place now when we reach and have conversations with external parties that we might be looking at their solutions for. Are they a Snowflake customer? Can we do a direct Snowflake data share with you? Because we already have the data there. Most likely we already got it normalized to some degree, and it'd be quicker for us just to create a derivative off of what we've already done and share it with you directly via Snowflake, rather than having to do some type of reverse ETL off the platform, configure an API interface, and go through additional hops that there's going to be additional points of failure, only quality can degrade, and is ultimately costing us more compute and processing to add to that.
Really interesting. Are you seeing? You mentioned the Snowflake and the data share collaboration. Are you seeing in the agribusiness space more opportunities with organizations? Maybe it's trading partners of CHS that are starting to come to the table, whether it's within the Snowflake marketplace or as a private data share, offering those up. You mentioned there's 4 or 5 right now. Do you see this expanding significantly over the next, say, 12 to 24?
Current signs are it's only going to be expanding. If we look a year ago, we had 1 that we were kind of having discussions with, and now that's ballooned up to 5. So that's been really kind of nice to see that, just because it shows that the investment in that space is paying off. We're able to kind of create a unique relationship with some of our B2B counterparts to ensure that we can deliver on use cases quicker and faster and more scalable. You're
removing a lot of friction out of the process as well, which is really nice. Give me faster time to whatever that value-based thing is that I'm trying to deliver or develop. If you look back where you are right now, you say, hey, here's some advice. If you're looking, whether you're in the agriculture industry or not, but someone looking to modernize their approach to delivering data services, data outcomes, data products, best advice that you could give to that person or people?
Yeah, so for us, it's kind of defining, how are you defining value and success for the products you build, and making sure that you're adhering to that as nicely as possible. And a couple of different ways to do that, especially with some companies, there's still a lot of folks that are dealing with some legacy data platforms. They're working on migrating towards more cloud-based ones. What really kind of made it easy for us to migrate and do that successfully was we focused on enhancing our processes. So on Cloudera, there's a lot of learnings that we had from, working one with on-prem storage, but two, it was also the first time that we had a data lake at CHS. So there's a lot of learnings that we did of how do we best handle this. So what we wanted to do is create a better avenue for our citizen developers, for our actual data engineers, to make sure that there was a benefit for them moving to the cloud. So if you can make it for the people that need to do kind of their core work for doing that migration, if you can make it a benefit for them doing it, that was very successful for us.
What qualities for you, Riley, are most important to have when you're leading a data team and building a data team?
Yeah, I'm a very big on servant leadership. Just so I came up through the development ranks. So it's very easy for me to kind of think of, well, this is how I would do it. So that's how we should create the standard to do it. That doesn't lead to the best kind of team morale or the best kind of collaborative thinking and make sure that we're thinking out of the box and thinking more futuristic as well. It's nice jumping into those discussions, empowering the data engineers, data scientists, business users to really kind of collaborate and come up with what's going to be best for us. And also what are we going to enjoy living in that we all can agree upon. So kind of fostering that collaborative culture is the biggest thing that I try and do from a leadership perspective.
I love that. If you're hiring somebody onto your data team, anything that you want to comment, like, is there one or two, characteristics or qualities that you look for and you go, ooh, that could be an ideal CHS addition to the data team?
Yeah, definitely looking at kind of just aptitude, drive, ability to kind of more communicate and partner with the business. The technical side, we can kind of coach up and skill up on that. But the ability just to kind of lean into working directly with business users, understanding their process, the challenges that they're facing, and then partnering with them on a technical solution, that's really where we see the best kind of mix of both worlds there.
Do I have to have an agriculture background or can that be taught as well? What do you generally look for?
No, that can be taught as well. Okay. That's the kind of the fun beauty of it too, is just having the more of the inquisitive nature, wanting to learn what you're building, not just building it for the sake of building it. That's really a differentiator.
I love it. Riley, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. I think I could easily spend a couple of hours on some of these topics. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Look forward to keeping up with everything that's going on at CHS. Really, really cool stuff. Hey, huge thank you to everyone who listened in. We really appreciate each one of you. We'd encourage you to subscribe to the podcast on any of the major platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, any of the key platforms that you listen on. You can also find us on YouTube and visit us at fivetran.com/podcast. Please send us any feedback or comments at podcast@fivetran.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you soon. Take care.